want to start by thanking everyone for coming, for the outpouring of love and sympathy for the family. It really does mean a lot, and it's, at times it was surprising. You know, 'cause when I was around April, sometimes you would forget how many friends she had, how many people she touched. She was, you know, just my sister, and a lot of the times that was the joke. She was Travis's sister. You know, I was the baby. Yeah. Today I get to be April's brother. To my family and our close friends, I want to acknowledge the obvious. We're here again way too soon. We're here again saying goodbye to someone that we don't want to. I'm up here again doing something I don't want to do. However, I'm honored to be up here to be able to honor my sister the best way I can, because I believe she earned that, certainly for me. My sister was a wonderful sister. The only times I ever remember getting upset with her was because she was being too nice to someone else, making it hard on me. Or I would get aggravated with her for trying to ask too many questions and get in my business. Which, looking back, both really dumb reasons to be upset at somebody. She was simply doing what she always did. She was trying to be the person you could count on to be there to help you. On top of being a great sister, she was a great daughter, mother, aunt, wife, grandmother, friend, and any other relationship you can think of. I believe this is because these relationships are the only thing April actually cared about. I never remember April caring about money, social rules, or if she had enough time on the calendar. She would forsake all those things in order to simply be there for people. After racking my brain trying to find a way to honor April, I decided I wanted to share some of the things that would and would never come out of her mouth. You wouldn't always know what would come out of April's mouth or what volume, but you had a good idea of a few things she would most likely say at some point in the conversation. Even more importantly, you would also know what most assuredly would never escape her lips. So I'd like to share 7 examples of each, starting with some of the meaningful things that April would say. Number 1, that's awesome. There was variations to the words she would use, but April was always the person you could rely on to be genuinely excited for anything we were telling her about. She was everybody's little cheerleader. It didn't matter if you won a Nobel Prize or if you got 6th place in an underwater basket weaving contest. She was the one who was going to celebrate with you and make you feel special. Yeah, we have room. Number 2. April was so intent on making you feel welcome that she would sometimes bend so far backwards that it was almost irresponsible. It would not have surprised me if you were in need of a ride somewhere and she had a full car. April would offer up some crazy solution like the girls can sit on each other's laps and I'll ride on the roof. She just wanted so much to help all the time. My turn in a minute, Daddy. When my sisters were little, Aubrey was notorious for running faster to Dad and getting to play with him first. Instead of getting upset, though, April would simply ask, "My turn in a minute, Daddy?" April didn't mind whether or not she was the first on your list of people to see or spend time with. She never let any pettiness stand in the way of what she valued so dearly. She was only concerned with the relationship and the experience with those that she loved. Whether you had time now or in a minute, she was going to take it and she was going to enjoy it. Plus, I'm not one to believe in coincidences, but I wonder if Aubrey shares a thought that has come across my mind recently when thinking about April now and who she is able to see again. How we're the ones looking to the future thinking, our turn soon, Daddy. You can stay here. This is pretty similar to why she would say, we've got room. She just wanted you to know that you were welcome and that there was a place for you. I honestly think the only string she attached to the privilege of staying with her was that you definitely had to spend time talking with her. Which, if I'm being honest, is kind of an experience in itself most of the time. Number 5. I'll never say, love you, mother, lover, again. When April was in kindergarten, it was again to kindergarten, yeah. Her teacher informed our dad that this little girl uttered quite the phrase in class. When Dad told her to say sorry to the teacher, she went up and offered this gem. I'll never say, love you, mother, lover, again. And all Dad could say was, we're still working on it. And good thing we never held our breath, because I don't think she ever learned that lesson. I did this to myself. I'm sorry, girls. These were the only words that came out of her mouth when she learned that the cancer spread to her brain. No sooner than the doctor showed her the scans and the understanding of what it meant in her. And even though we all knew for a couple days while she was unconscious, it hit her. And she immediately turned to the girls with tears in her eyes and apologized to them for what was happening to her. This was April. At a time where nobody would question her if she thought of herself and dwelled on how bad she had it. The only thing in her heart was how sad she was for her precious children. She fought so hard to keep them from having to deal with the same pain that we're all having to deal with. Number 7. I love you. This had to be the most common thing out of her mouth. She would tell you this any chance she could and twice before you would leave. She would tell you this most likely before you were even comfortable saying it back. She didn't care. It was important to her that you knew someone cared about you. And if that meant a little awkwardness, so be it. Now, some of the things that April would never say. I can't help you. Even if April actually couldn't help you, this would never come out of her mouth. All I knew is if I didn't want someone to stress about my problems with me and do all the brainstorming with me, don't involve April. Because she was going to try no matter what. Number 2, I'll sell it to you. Clothes, knickknacks, furniture, vehicles, it didn't matter. If she could provide something you were in need of, she would give it freely. And she'd act upset if you even tried to pay for it. The relationship was always what mattered to her, and she wasn't going to let money or stuff get in the way of that. You'll have to pay me rent. I put this one next because it comes from the same place in her heart. She wanted to give you a place to lay your head and feel comfortable. As someone myself who's had to stay on a few couches in my day, I know the feeling of having a place you know you could go if you needed to. No strings attached. I can vouch for how invaluable that is, and I won't be able to thank April and even others in this room for providing that place to me. Don't bring that baby around me. I don't even know if I have to explain this, but April was obsessed with loving babies and small kids. Her personality and deep desire to care for everybody just seemed to reach another level when she was around babies. If she made it past the first 5 minutes without happy crying, then it was a feat. She would even chastise you if you weren't nice and loving to your own kid, to the level she thought they deserved, and she wasn't joking. You can't accomplish that. I asked April's daughters for some phrases as inspiration for this speech, and this one stood out to me. Not because it was a surprise, but because it was so obvious that I was upset I didn't think of it.
person you could go to if you ever needed someone to believe in you. I saw her convince people that the stars were within reach and that their crazy dreams were not even slightly crazy. I would come to her and tell her ideas I was embarrassed to share with anyone because I knew the only thing she would tell me was how awesome that idea was, and of course, ask if I needed any help with that. I wish we spent less time together. Number 6. If you can't recognize a pattern by now, I don't think you're paying attention. The only currency April cared about was time with loved ones. She would have worked 100 hours a week if that's what they paid her. We were all truly blessed to have someone like her in our lives that simply wanted to spend time with you and make you feel special. Number 7. And again, I do this to myself. You're on your own. April was always along for the ride. She was always in your corner if you needed somebody, even in ways you didn't expect. I remember at this church, 13 years ago, a few miracles, I would say, happened, especially to April, with her kidneys and just long-time health problems she just always had from birth. And there was just a miracle that I felt was provided by this church. And not long after that, I remember April kind of talking about walking up to the front during invitational and getting saved. And I didn't think of that, secretly in my head too for a while. Because we've been going to this church and I hadn't made the walk yet, hadn't gotten saved. And I remember one day it just kind of hit me and I turned to April and I said, hey, if you want to go up there, I'll go with you. Because I was too embarrassed to say I wanted to go and I needed someone to go with me. And so we went up there. She was right here when she prayed that prayer right next to me as I did. She got baptized right before me in this baptism right here. And that was one of those few times they said, and here's April's brother next. So in a way, I kind of give her some credit for saving me. And I know where she is right now. So, I want to leave you with knowledge that April was successful. Her one goal in life was to make her loved ones feel special, and I think she knocked it out of the dang park. In that way, I think she'll also live on through our own lives and how we treat people too. So in that way, I think she is still along for the ride.